Welcome to the first Snark Squad unnamed vlog series video. Every week we'll have a new topic, and on Tuesdays you will see my face, and on Fridays you will see Lorraine's face. This is basically just going to be a sort of miscellaneous pop culture stuff series. Since we're starting this fun new project shortly after our second birthday, we wanted our first topic to kind of bring the blog full circle in a way. We started out as childhood trauma, snarking our way through all of the terrible books that we or other people read as kids. So we're gonna start this series by talking about kids' books that we think are actually awesome. When we first brought up this topic idea, Lorraine and I weren't really sure if we were gonna do like a top 5 list or something of that sort. We both decided against it because we're really bad at ranking things. Like, I obsess over the fact that something should have been 2 instead of 3 or 4 instead of 5. Maybe I want them both to be 3, and it becomes a really stressful endeavor for me. We both had a lot of the books that came to mind that were books that we read as more adult children, as Lorraine put it. So we're just gonna be talking about any books that can be classified as kids books regardless of when we actually read them. As an example, Lorraine and I both have the nerd shame of having read the Harry Potter books as adult children. In the interest of establishing some semblance of order, I am going to present the books in reading age level. I can't find my actual English language copy of this, but my first book is Where the Wild Things Are. This was my favorite book when I was younger. Long after I was reading chapter books and, you know, would never actually admit to anyone that this was my favorite book, it was still my favorite book. I bought this when I went to visit my YouTube-y friend in Rennes. I was stupid excited about finding this book in French. The idea was that it was gonna help me learn French. That hasn't really happened quite the way I planned for it to. This is like a little kid's picture book, and it's a freaking classic, so if by some chance you haven't read it, it'll take you all of like 5 minutes to read it the next time you're at the bookstore. Do it. Speaking of chapter books, the next book is probably the book that I would always answer when asked for my favorite book growing up, Number the Stars. I bought it at the book fair in 1st grade. I haven't read it in at least a decade, but I still know these characters so well. The story takes place in Denmark during World War II. Anne-Marie and Ellen are best friends, and Ellen is Jewish, and so early on in the book, Ellen moves in with Anne-Marie's family and pretends to be part of the family. I remember crying when I read this book. This is the first book that I can ever remember being that sort of lesson in empathy that I think reading a good book is supposed to be about. It gave me an interest in this particular period of history, and I felt for these characters very strongly. I don't know why you would be seeking out elementary level reading, but if you are, it's 137 pages and it's incredible and I love it. Finally, Philip Pullman's His Dark Materials trilogy. I've actually vlogged about these books already because I love them that much. Lyra and Will are my favorite fictional children in the history of fictional children. They're just the greatest. I feel really silly talking about this again because of the fact that I already did it. So I'll just link that somewhere. I love these books. They're amazing. They fall into the category of children's books that I read as an adult child, but I've already read them more than once because I love them that much. It's a magical fantasy series with witches and armored bears and other dimensions and just general magic and awesomeness. That was all that I picked in the interest of keeping this short, but I also felt like there should be some kind of honorable mentions here. Honorable mention number 1 is The Book Thief, which I don't actually own, so if I have the patience, maybe I'll put the cover right here over my hands, otherwise you're just gonna see my hands doing this fantastic little, I don't know, thing. Honorable mention number 2 is The Hunger Games, because I was talking about books that I've actually reread, and I have reread these because they are awesome, and if you haven't read them, I don't know what you're doing here watching our weird fangirly videos. Like, I don't even know what you're doing with your life. So yeah. And the Harry Potter books are another honorable mention because, you know, duh. So there it is, me talking about children's books that don't suck. If you have suggestions for future topics, please leave them in the comments. You will see Lorraine's face on Friday and me again next week. Bye!